So today we're going to be reading the new story, The Consequence of Imagination's Fear, by the author Synchro Void. I hope I said that right. But I'm going to make sure to put the link and the author in the description down below for you guys, so y'all don't get a confusion or something like that. And if those don't work, the title of the video is practically the same title of the story, just with the chapter. So here is the summary. You were prone to bouts of hyperfixation. Whatever your subject of fascination was to devour your life. Outside of that, your life was relatively tame, boring even. You didn't expect that the main character of your current hyperfixation, welcome home, could become interested in you. Too interested in you. And then here's the notes. Welcome, neighbors. I have too become an insane for the puppet man, object of my fascination. So, like many, I've decided to write a fanfic about it. And they said that the tags will be updated as later chapters are posted. Oh, nice. I've never gotten into this fandom, so this is completely new to me, guys. So if I get something wrong, let me know. And correct me if you will. But I'm really excited because I kind of really wanted to get into this fandom. Don't know how, but hey, fanfic is a start, right? Anyways, now officially into this warning. So for the warnings of all this, for this story so far, there will be mentions of, I'm going to put it as stalking. A lot of mentions of eyes, just very intense eye contact. And slash just eyes, like, if you're like, dope, like, eyes compactly close together, like, going everywhere. Not a good idea to probably read this. If I got any other warnings, though, they'll be on the screen right now. You guys have been warned. We are in Chapter 1. From Within into Your World. Summary. Sometimes it can be dangerous to be curious. That wouldn't stop you. The room was flooded with the quiet hum of your old laptop, the screen dousing your room in artificial light. The cold light danced around the various objects strewn around, wrapping the shadows and dulling all color. Through your sleep blurry eyes, you could make out the time in the bottom right of the screen. Not that you had any mind to check that it was well past midnight. The screen flickered as you opened another web page, blinking back exhaustion as the shadows around you shifted. Currently, you were partially tucked into your bed, leaning on pillows stacked against the headboard of your bed. A half blanket covered you. How do you know this? How do you know I'm like in that exact position, bro? Oh my gosh, it's kind of scary. The charging cord of your laptop snaking through the covers. You are wearing your version of pajamas, which consisted of anything you found comfortable enough to sleep in. Relatable. The dull black edges of the laptop barely stood out compared to the darkness beyond the screen, making the only thing you could actually see. It was all bathed in that same light, the eerie glow consuming the world around you. It was distinctly unnatural, but in a way that you'd only notice if you weren't the one focused on the screen, as it too had consumed your mind. As the clock ticked on, 2 a.m. bleeding into 3 a.m., you continued to plug away at your laptop. It appeared like tonight would be another unwanted all-nighter. But none of those little details were important to you right now. The reason why you were up at such a late hour was simple. You had a new hyperfixation. And it wasn't one that came upon you slowly either. It was called Welcome Home. And despite only knowing about it for a week, you were completely and utterly hooked. The designs of each character was the perfect blend of intricate and simple, bright and cheery without being overly saturated or harsh on the eyes. They all shone with love and care, and filled with personality. How could you not get invested? Not only were they designed well, but they all had such delightful personal descriptions, giving them that extra boost that endeared you so to the entire cast of characters. Truly, it was impressive how thoroughly you'd fallen into this new interest. And honestly, what's the harm in indulging yourself in it a little bit? Of course, that was what you had told yourself ever since you settled down to sleep nearly 4 hours ago. Ignoring the developing cramps in your hands from the awkward position, you grin as you spot something seemingly new, different. You'd gone through the entire website multiple times over, thanking your fortune that dedicated Welcome Home restoration team. Excuse me, I got lost. Hold on. Restoration team had already made an archive of all known information about Welcome Home. Truly, it was a shame that less people knew about it. Sure, the Welcome Home website was rather new, and despite your continued fascination, the world of obscure and possibly haunted media wasn't very popular. But there was passion here, as clear as the sunny skies earlier that day. There was life here. It was that which drove you to eagerly inspect that new detail you found. It seemed inconspicuous at first. Hidden in the guest book section of the website, the little pushing icon of home near the bottom left of the page had a few new details. Its eyes were no longer static, but flicking between the Visit Our Guest Book page and the image of Barney and Wally doodling in a guest book. Had you been anyone else, you might have missed it. Perhaps chalked it up to your blurry eyes playing tricks on you, or your insatiable curiosity luring you towards disappointment. Though, had you been anyone else, you probably would have actually gone to sleep instead of spending yet another night burying yourself in your interests. I can relate to this so much. Instead, you hurriedly shot your mouse over to the graphic, thrilled when your mouse cursor seemed to turn into a little hand, the sure sign that clicking it would cause something to happen. You had no time to contemplate whether this image of home was truly new or not, as its pulsing turned to it floating downwards towards the bottom of the web page, as if the yellow little heart-shaped balloon keeping it afloat had popped, as if it was teasing you. Clicking on it with a bated breath, you felt your intrigue swell further as the page loaded up. The screen flashed white before settling on a solid black. The name of the tab titled I can't say this word. Ominous. There we go. Silly. Easily recognizable as a quote from a hidden message on the last page of the guest book. You wait as an image slowly faded in. You eternally cursed at the slowness on the ancient laptop as the screen appeared to ripple as it loaded. Once it did, it revealed a large spiral concocted of a mix of dark colors, with a nearly invisible crimson being the most prominent, followed by a midnight blue. It swirled clockwise in wide, thin arcs, drawing you in as a silhouette with wide eyes faded in the center of the spiral. The eyes reminded you of another secret page, with the shrunken pupils shaking as they stared out at the screen. The eyes seemed to get impossibly wider as the spiral got more intense, distinct enough that the faint pattern of it danced against the walls behind you. The eyes clearly belonged to the faded silhouette of Wally Darling, the leading character of the whole Welcome Home world, and not that you'd admit it, one of your favorites. The silhouette grew larger, ever so slowly, as you analyzed the page for any additional secrets, any hidden messages hidden under the graphics or matching the black color background. Even turning up your audio to see if there would be any sounds. After staring at the screen while the minutes slipped by, you decided to investigate the web page. First, you dragged the visual graphic of the spiral into a new tab, awaiting for the hidden message that was sure to come. When it finally loaded, the laptop hummed louder. It showed a jumble instead of the English you were expecting. 48 underscore 65 underscore 6C underscore 6F underscore 3F. It felt wrong, seeing such an odd file name. It stood out compared to the typical hidden messages found throughout the graphics of the site. Perhaps it was a mistake. Perhaps you may have simply found this page too soon. Maybe the spiral wasn't important. You shrug it off as a mistake, as the tab's name was also underwhelming, simply reading Spiral. You were just too good at finding these secrets. Ignoring your disappointment as you switched back to the original tab, the two eyes are still staring out, pupils dilating as they wildly flicked about. The silhouette had plunged the screen into an ominous, impossibly dark black. As the twin eyes overtook the rest of the screen, you watched in curiosity as the eyes, in apparent desperation, searched and searched and searched. You didn't expect them to find what they were searching for. The eyes flickered towards several more times before settling on looking at your cursor. The pupils still shook as though flooded with adrenaline, but it was far less hectic, far less panicked. Experimentally, you rolled the mouse back and forth, thrilled to find this new discovery. You dragged the visual graphic of the silhouette over to a new tab, excitement building up as it loaded. The name of the tab read, How. As the web page plunged into darkness, your eyes burned as you rubbed them to stay awake, limbs heavy as your body settled further into the pile of pillows you made for yourself. And there were two eyes, now appearing as the page fully loaded. They kept close watch on your cursor, following it as you clicked around and turned up the brightness, searching for more hidden details. The names of the files was equally odd, yet another jumble of characters that almost had a pattern, but none you could understand in your current state. 49 underscore 20 underscore 63 underscore 61 underscore 6E underscore 20 underscore 66 underscore 65 underscore 65 underscore 6C underscore 20 underscore 69 underscore 74. Jesus Christ. I actually don't know if that's an actual real thing we could see. Oh, I'm gonna look in the comments, don't worry. Anyways, past that there were no more clues, just the two ever-growing eyes, unnaturally wide and shaking. They screamed of horror, of obsession, of elation. Hungrily, they tracked the cursor, pupils almost pulsing larger whenever you dragged the cursor closer. They fascinated you. The eyes that had you thought over it shouldn't have been able to react if it had been a GIF file. They unnerved you. A deep sense of wrongness squirming in your chest, twisting against your lungs. The feeling grew as you kept shifting the cursor around, watching as the pupils tracked each movement, at times the mouse jerking further than you made it go. You found your eyes closing against your will, breathing smoothing out as you deeply sighed. Your eyes watered as you yawned. Only now that the heaviness of your limbs really hit you. Barely, you peered at the time, blinking a few times to really see what the small numbers said. It was 3:15 a.m. Shit. With the last of your energy, you took a quick screenshot and pressed the power button before shoving the computer into your nightstand. Scattered objects cluttering to the ground as they were pushed off. Groaning as you were forced to shuffle out of the comfortable position that you had slumped into, you decided to deal with it in the morning. At least there was enough time for you to get some sleep. You really did need it. They were still there. The eyes were still there. Even though you had shut off your computer, at some point between settling down and fully falling asleep, it had booted back up. Password lock be damned. The room flickered from near total darkness back to an artificial glow that made everything appear plaid, sickly. The sound of the aging laptop's gentle hum joined your soft breathing, rhythmic as if it was breathing. And there were the eyes, watching it all. They were still staring at the cursor, large and curious. The shaking was still there, though more of a gentle tremor than before. Pupils blown wide. They didn't wait for it to move, though. Not anymore. Instead, with unnerving, pulsing eyes, the gaze intensified, more and more until finally, with a low buzzing noise, the cursor jerked left. The movement was so small it was barely noticeable, and yet the eyes widened in wonder and joy. The gaze focused harder, determined as the cursor lurched again and again. Before long the movement grew smoother, becoming sure it had gained its distance and precision. It kept moving leftwards, inching towards the goal, the start menu on the bottom left of the screen. It hovered awkwardly over it for several minutes before finally, with a blink, it clicked and opened up the menu. It stumbled through the options before settling on the camera app. Your laptop gave a small ping as the app opened. The tiny green light flickering to life by the camera of the laptop, signaling that it was live. The eyes finally stopped quivering once the camera was on, the mouse lazily drifting off to the side. They were blown wide once more, no longer focused on the cursor, but instead the world beyond it, exploring the scenery. The eyes flicked back and forth in awe. Even when dark, there was so much to see. From that perspective, the camera could see much of your room, and it was simply thrilling. Staring from the left, there was your bedroom door, handle worn and decorated with a poster from a band you had known for most of your life. Though it was more like an abstract mix of dark blue hues and splotches of off-white, the eyes still absorbed the sight before moving on. To the right of that was some shelving, with various books, knickknacks, and containers. It was both too dark and too odd of an angle for the titles to be made out, and the knickknacks ended up appearing more like shadowy bumps, peering over the edge rather than separate objects. There were a few that could be discerned, including a short string of origami cranes partially falling off the edge, a cup with extra pens and pencils sticking out, and a ball of yarn with crochet needles sticking out. The eyes studied the sight, seemingly approving of it before moving on, though the rest was far less interesting, considering the brief time the eyes spent studying them. There was a clothing hamper in the corner, a closet with the sliding doors currently shut, and a few more posters on the wall, none of which looked like more than some vague blobs trapped within rectangles. In the ceiling was an old fan fixture, 2 chains dangling from the main body, with a small bird attached. The distinct shape revealed it to be cardinal, small and wooden with a scratch covering its one eye. And on the floor, of what the eyes could see, was a pile of clothes previously thrown down before you had climbed into your bed to laze about. The last thing the eyes could inspect from the current camera position was you. The eyes at first glanced at the pile of pillows and blankets that made up your bed, choosing to study the rest of the surroundings before flitting back. Half-lidded, they danced around the lump of your form, catching the chunky, stripped pattern of your largest blanket and noticing the fuzziness out of it. but not truly seeing you. They softened, lazily glancing around your room with less intensity, less desperation. That was until you moved. You were asleep and simply rolled over. It shouldn't have mattered. It was only natural that you shifted in your sleep. After all, you were a side sleeper and sometimes the other side was comfier. That wasn't unusual. It shouldn't have mattered. Truly, it meant nothing. Your face was lax and peaceful, mouth curled in the smallest of smiles, arm tucked near your chest, clinging to a full hug of blanket as you deeply sighed, settling deeper into comfort. Your hyperfixation no longer held you prisoner. Sleep dreamless. But the moment the camera caught you in frame, the moment the eyes could see you, they didn't look away. Ooh, that shit. Oh, this is getting good. Oh God, nice. Honestly, this relates to me so much though. Like the sleep, the position, like the exact like position that she was in, or the character was in while they were on their computer. It's kind of scary. Kind of in that exact same position. Kind of scary. But isn't everyone like that? Or is it just like moi? Alright, let's check the comments to see if any of those things have any if actually it works. Or you know, someone actually figured it out. Hold up. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Oh, so it's like a website. Okay, I guess I can look at a website. I mean, shit. Okay, here. I knew it meant something. Alright, they said it's hex code. Okay. So the shorter version meant, so I'll read it real quick. 48_65_6C_6C_6F_3F meant hello. And then 49_20_66_20_65_65_65_20_65_69_6074. I can feel it. Small but fun. Those are cute. Oh, I love it. Thank you. That is thank you so much, person, whoever did it at 3:52 a.m. I applaud you, Caddy_2007. I applaud you because I do not know how to solve codes. Good for you. Thank you. Because I knew those meant something. You know, no one just writes that for no reason, especially when they know the fans read this. So, anyways, Chapter 2, Insight. Summary. Dreams are odd things, aren't they? And sometimes you can't rely on what you think is true. Notes. Author says, thank you all for the wonderful and warm reception of the first chapter. You truly made me happy. I hope you all continue to enjoy what's to come, including this new chapter. Thank you. There was a tree, large and towering, branches reaching towards the sky like a giant splayed hand. The leaves shone a vivid mix of magenta and lemon, fuchsia and a bonfire orange, radiant like a living sunset. The wind tumbled through them, a sea of stained glass. The bark consisted of crimson stone, obsidian ridges like sparkling spiderwebs, glittering in the clearing. Swaying gently along the tree was a field of silken blue grass, as far as the eye could see, soft and tangled, isolated on a floating platform, everything surrounded by the sky above, a dead, colorless void. It was so dark, it ate at the edges of the existence. The tallest of the tree fading away into the shadows above. Needless to say, it yawned above like a gaping jaw ready to snap shut. Its hunger was palpable. By the base of the tree, sitting innocently on a jeweled roots, sat an apple, ruby red and nearly bursting with juices. It called out, a brightening hollow of light shining upon it. making its red flesh glisten. It looked delicious, lustrous, incandescent, perfectly round with a singular brilliant green leaf. It seemed too perfect to be real, and you couldn't refuse it. Hands stretched out and moving sluggish, the air like molasses, you felt an overwhelming compulsion to reach the apple. Yet the grass had, unknowingly, grown around your feet and ankles, clinging too tight for you to move. The strands of grass kept growing upwards, snaking around your calves, then your thighs. Your struggles stopped when the living grass wrapped around your torso. It slithered skywards, unnaturally strong and as cold as ice. It tightened its grip as you fell forwards, still reaching towards the apple, more and more desperate as the field consumed you. The darkness grew heavier and heavier, bearing down with a weight that you could feel shoving you deeper into the grass. With renewed vigor, you fought through the living plants, dragging yourself as the world compressed, squeezing you in its jaws. Its teeth, non-existent yet tangible, dug into your arms, twin skewers piercing your wrists. The apple drifted away, vision blurring as more teeth bit into your shoulders, the same icy sensation flooding into you. The grass above your head burying you alive, with its jaws clamped down on one of your legs, pinning you in place. Your vision was absorbed into the joyful light blue, everything beyond the grass hungering darkness. It twisted around the points of the teeth of the sky had been, wrapping tight like thousands of tiny strings of twine before you fell. Tumbling deeper into nothingness, you tried to scream, but you couldn't open your mouth. Looking around as wind rushed around you wildly, the only thing that you could be seen other than yourself was the strands of grass dangling from above, melting into your skin at your shoulders and wrists, feet and knees. The sensation was uncomfortable but distinctively free of pain. The strings snapped tight, sending you tumbling as the apple returned, glowing and massive beneath you. Its smell was overwhelmingly sweet, bordering on nauseating as you tumbled closer and closer. The red was too bright, the stem sinking into itself as a hole opened in the apple. Then another, and another, waxy skin peeling as the apple's flesh pulled out. The dark brown and rotting, it oozed, deflating as stench filled the void. So strong your eyes watered. You gagged as you kept falling towards it. The remaining walls of the giant apple towering as you were seconds away from colliding with the leaking, bubbling remains. The first thing you heard that morning was your alarm, loud and shrill. You had picked it up why can't I say this right? Specifically to annoy you out of sleep. It rang cheerfully in your ears, the awfully repetitive tune filled with energy you yourself lacked so early in the day. Instinctively you curled inwards, dragging the blanket over your head to block out the sound. Your other hand blindly reached out for your phone. Pawning where it should be, the alarm grew louder until it was practically screaming its tune. You realized that it wouldn't stop. Your phone no longer plugged in and charging by your bedside as it should be. For a few minutes you had laid there lifelessly, until the stale taste of last night's dinner and your aching eardrums convinced you to move. You never were a morning person. There was some ruffling sounds before your feet hit the ground with a solid thump. The hunt for your phone had begun. Your sluggish movements were punctuated by a yawn, eyes half-lidded and mind slow despite your motivation. The sound echoed from within your room, yet the precise location seemed to elude you. Perhaps it was how loud it had gotten, or because of the lack of sleep, but you spent those minutes stumbling around cursing. Your head pulsed with a forming headache, the pulsing making the sound ever more aggravating. Nearly all your thoughts were focused on shutting off the alarm, though some clung to the last remnants of the dream you just had. Digging through the laundry basket and checking all of your pockets proved fruitless, as did shuffling through the mess on your desk. It wasn't until you checked your bed, more specifically under your bed, that you found the device. Shutting it off with a huff, you groaned at the mess around you. Getting up at 8 a.m. was far too early. Nevertheless, you were up, regrettably so. A growl of your stomach drew you towards the kitchen, which is far like a kitchenette than an actual kitchen. Missing the beloved dishwasher appliance that you once had the privilege of having, there was a small fridge, a stove, and an oven unit, and a faulty microwave. The counter space was sparse, as too was the storage. The kitchen was directly beside the entranceway. The rest of the main living room became a fusion between a living space became a fusion between a living room, eating space, and a place for all your hyperfixation-fueled projects, also known as your office, though it was the furthest from your room. It was barely a few steps away before you were making some pre-packaged oatmeal with an apple. It was more appropriate of what you still had left in your small apartment, but it was a good excuse to eat healthy. Sitting down in your pajamas, you checked on your phone's schedule as you dug into your meal. Today was going to be a busy day, most of it blocked out for the time to analyze and edit your photography. Just as well, as there was a distinct lack of sunlight beaming through your windows and tiny droplets forming on the glass. It had been a good insight to your part to spend the last few days exploring outside for the perfect pictures. Your apartment, a small one-bedroom, was located outside of a small fishing town, owned by Rosie, a kindly older lady that had taken you in. Part of the deal for letting you stay here was that you continue with your photography passion, and unfortunately, you were somewhere that never lacked a view. Good. Trees were brighter here, the air fresher than it had been in the city you were raised in. It wasn't uncommon, if you waited in the right spots, to find a white-tailed deer roaming around your home. There were birds aplenty, from the smallest of finches to king woodpeckers, whose size had originally stunned you. Up the road from where you were was a small creek and a trail through a forest, though your friend had expectingly told you to never stray too far in. Last year, there had been multiple bear sightings, and she did not want you to go mysteriously missing. The town, though small, had a flourishing tourist season, and that was where your photography came in handy. Unlike the locals, a group you still struggled to truly feel a part of, the tourists were unused to such sights. You had been too, before you had moved. That was a while back. You tried not to think about it. Rosie had been thrilled when you showed her a collection of your landscape photos, claiming that they were something special. Perhaps it was because the area was new to you, but whatever it was helped you get a job, a living. As long as you delivered a certain number of new photos a month, Rosie would let you stay. They sold well in the store she ran, after all. Filled with all sorts of pieces from the local artist, Rosie had managed to foster a strong community appreciation towards creativity of all sorts, even that as mundane as your own. It was also a tourist destination spot, known for high quality and unique items. But Rosie could be picky, and foolishly, while drowning yourself in your new hyperfixation, you had neglected your job. So today, as much as it hurt, was to be dedicated entirely to preparing this month's batch of photos for her. Simple, right? And yet, it never felt like it. Before retiring to the bathroom to prepare for the day, you snatched your laptop from your bedroom to bring it over to the desk waiting in the living room. Surprisingly warm, the laptop screen dimmed and camera light flickered off as you carried it out. Not that you noticed. Too busy making sure the trailing power cord didn't get caught on anything. Once settled down on the colorless screen, was replaced with cheery rainbows as the home page for the Welcome Home website appeared. The happy visage of Wally blinked awake to greet you, eyes blank and body stiff as expected. The only thing that was amiss, when you finally looked at the device, was that it was on. That's odd, you muttered, rubbing the sleep out of your eyes. Hadn't you shut it off last night? Shrugging it off as a lapse of forgetfulness, you had planned out a day in your mind, snatching a basic outfit of a t-shirt and some comfortable pants. You quickly brush your teeth and shower before turning to the task at hand, filtering all the photos you've taken. The files were contained on a combination of your phone with an expensive camera you bought a year before moving. The office chair beckoned you, the image of Wally gazing out as you officially began your workday. Settling down at your desk, you decided to go through your phone first. It was smaller and easier, and most of the images were of small sights you saw while going out for supplies or food. There were times where it would be odd or inconvenient to carry around your expensive camera. Plus, it meant that you could plug it in sooner, and judging by the low percentage, it very much needed to charge. Time ticked as you swiped through the images, selecting and adding a small note to each one you did and didn't want. For those you hadn't decided to keep or abandon, you tagged them as backups just in case. Sometimes there would be photos you thought were interesting, but Rosie claimed were slippery criminals avoiding the rules of thirds. Other times you thought an image was too sparse or lacking, and she complimented the use of negative space, or the patterns of the branches, or some other small detail you had overlooked. All part of the learning experience. Some were also tagged with inspect further, so you need to go back and take a higher quality image with your camera later. Very important when it came to turning your photos into framed pieces to sell. Time ticked by surprisingly fast, images blurring into one. Overall, you were happy with what you had, grateful that your phone's camera was so reliable. Your favorites was a collection of images taken at different times at the same spot, a series that was bound to catch someone's eyes. Then there was the usual assortment of sunset photos. People always love those. With a sigh, you turned back to your laptop, plugging in your phone to upload the image files. Now that you had organized them, it was time to truly see which ones were good enough to blow up to the right size. All part of the process Rosie had explained to you. It was important for avoiding pixel-infested prints. But first, you had to exit the Welcome Home website. You didn't notice the spike of static on the screen, nor how Wally's eyes widened as you did so, distracted by your phone asking if you really wanted to connect and share files. That normally didn't happen. Hadn't you set it up to always accept your laptop? That wasn't the only strange thing, because when you glanced back up at the screen, you realized that a section of the screen was frozen. It was a small square, really, barely more than 6 centimeters in height and width, found on the left of the screen. You didn't dare move the cursor over it, half clear vision of the last night's investigation stopping you. Your fingers tapped on the non-sensual rhythm against your thigh as the glitch square looked back at you. It was a section of the colorful background found on the website of stars and flowers, pebbles and butterflies, of home and eyes. Somehow, you never really noticed all the eyes in the pattern. There were the ones of the butterfly's wings. There were some tossed with colorful cobblestone path leading to the small doodle of home. They swamped a section of blue, so numerous they nearly overlapped each other. They were scattered around the envelopes near a toy ball, trailing all where the doodles got too hard to make anything out past the basic shapes. Somehow they had noticed you. Your breathing picked up, all the eyes in the pattern looking out towards you, watching and waiting, bouncing eagerly to the cursor before staring back at you, bouncing the balls of your feet. Your phone vibrated as it received a notification. The image of it was suspiciously similar to the envelope currently frozen on your laptop screen. A shiver ran up your back, and you took a deep breath. trying to reason a way out of your growing paranoia. Your laptop was old, far older than what you should be using. Sometimes aging pieces of technology do odd things, like freezing up and mixing button input. But hey, it still worked. Or did, up until today. But why were the eyes watching you? I'm just being silly, you muttered, body stiffening. Your phone notification was probably just your email, right? And the playful appearance, just a trick of the light reflecting off the screen. Just that. It was a new update that left the notification on the screen. The image of the envelope definitely wasn't growing larger the more you ignored it. Wasn't it too convenient, though, for all these to just coincidentally happen at the same time? Eyes darting between the two screens, jaw clenched, you sternly tell yourself to get a grip. Sure, your lack of sleep left much to be desired, but it couldn't be all that bad. Nothing was wrong. Why would it be? Why should it be? You shook your head and grit your teeth. Turning off your laptop, if it wouldn't work with you, why should you work with it? It didn't shut off. Why didn't it shut off? The screen blinked back before fizzing into waves of static. The frozen patch was now distorted, the eyes and colors churning together into a spiral. A sickening sensation bubbled in your stomach as the spirally steadily took over the screen. The eyes stretched thin and long, but still distinctively looking at you. The light of your laptop camera no longer needed to be on to see. You gawked, pressing again and again at the power button in hopes of shutting it down. You even pulled the plug, but that did nothing but the spiral kept intensifying. You were drawn in, unable to look away, even your mind screamed at you to do so. It was hypnotizing, enticing in a way you'd never known possible, almost as if it spoke your name, whispering words you longed to hear. You leaned closer, eyes wide and mouth slack as it changed. There, in the center of the screen, became a bright red line, and another, forming recognizable letters. It slowly spelled out a sentence, straight and angular. The letters seemed oddly familiar, as if you had seen the handwriting before. You didn't process it at first, until you finally did. That was Wally's handwriting. That was his handwriting. I'm so happy to finally meet you, neighbor. Oh my. That was intensifying. That was very intensifying. I was like, oh my gosh. He's gonna jump out at her. Oh goodness. That is so scary. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Look at what the author said. Thanks for reading. I hope you enjoyed. I had fun writing it. I may not be experienced with writing dialogue, but dream, nightmare, sequences are my favorites. You did good. I gave you A++ for this because it is amazing. Let's see the calm reflection. This chapter is creepy. This chapter is very creepy. Oh my gosh. I need to look this fandom up. No cap. Oh goodness. I would trust my gut. I'd be like, oh hell no, there is demons possessing my laptop. I need to call the exorcist. That would be me. Oh my gosh. That would be me. Oh my gosh. This is scary. I love it. 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 This is amazing. This is a fucking amazing. I can't. I would read more, but I'm already like 40 minutes into this. So I hope you guys did enjoy it though. First of all, I'm gonna need to ask y'all this. How the hell do you guys think he figured out how to look directly at us, see us without the camera? You guys let me know in the comments down below because I am truly curious. Truly. Did he just hack it to where he could see the camera but the light wouldn't flash to let her know that he's seeing through the camera? Let me know in the comments down below because I am curious to hear your see your theories. For me, I have no idea. This is actually confusing. I don't know. He was that interested. He was so interested to the point where he figured out exactly how to look at her, like actually see her. That's actually kind of scary. No. I'm so sorry, but no thank you. No thank you. No thank you. I'm good. I'm good. Very much. Very perfectamente great. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy this story so far. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. I really like how it's written so far. The author knows how to write real good. I really like it. I also like the summaries because that's nice, right? I like it. This chapter might be my favorite so far. Cause just like dun dun dun. It's like the Jaws, you know? Like it's like it's slowly intensified as the more you read it, and it just keeps you stuck there. So I really do like it. Yes, yes I do. Yes, yes I do. Yes I do. I do like it. By the way, I don't know if I could possibly add archive of our own as like a link, if you guys like could possibly follow me on here. I'm not too sure, but what I do know is I'm gonna try, and you might or might not get a reply on the video to let you guys know if I was able to do it or not. Or you could just check out the subscription, because trust me, it'll tell you, because I'd put it in the description if I could. So also, I don't know if they have dark mode on this, but I'll try and put it on dark mode. If I can't, well, it'll stay like this. So, but it's alright. It could be worse. Okay, so update. They actually do have dark mode, and I figured it out. So we is good, guys. We is good. Oh, by the way, PSS. The playlist for this will be where the playlist for this, like for this fanfic, will be in the corner of the screen for each video. The top right left corner of the screen, that's where you'll be able to press to get the playlist for this fanfic. So just wanted to let you guys know before y'all forget. Okay, now officially bye and peace.